Call the meeting to order at 7:01. All right, big agenda today, so we'll get right into it. Secretary's report. Is there a motion to accept Secretary's report?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Second, good. Discussion. Hearing none, I will take a vote on the motion to accept the Secretary's report. Roll call vote. Susan?
Yes.
Chris? Yes. Laura?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan? Yes. Scott?
Yes.
Yes, that passes unanimously. Acceptance of monthly staff reports. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Having the donation from the North Carolina resident, is that unrestricted? Unrestricted.
Yes. And they talked about it at the town council meeting, which was nice. They talked about the woman who donated it.
Do we ever do thank you cards from the trustees or
Yes.
you do it for us?
Yeah, it's a form, and I usually will add a postcard and write something in hand, but that's for tax purposes, technically.
I was traveling last week and in Seattle airport, I saw those like cubbies, the cubicles, the
Oh, did you?
yeah, what is a good word for them, sorry.
Like a phone booth kind of thing?
The phone booth for meetings and stuff. I didn't go in it, some of them weren't used, although one of them had like caution yellow tape because it was out of service. And it got me thinking about what you were saying last time about how there are all these things you have to, those things aren't working, and so there's like the practical logistical parts of it, and then there's kind of an aesthetic element to it too, so, but it was cool to see, here was a good place for them.
Yeah. We're still looking.
So Blossoms, big success. I want to thank the Blossoms committee, all the staff here at the library for pulling off another great event. I was able to attend, it was a lot of fun. I read in the staff report that there was a drink spilled on a computer. That's I don't remember that happening before. Has that happened before?
I don't think it's happened before.
Okay.
No.
That's good, but and also probably inevitable at some point. If we don't hide, wherever we don't hide is going to get a drink put on it at some point.
Yeah, this was kind of far afield, but so somebody wandered, but you have access everywhere.
Yep.
You know,
Right,
so-
right.
Well, I knew that, but what was the end result? Is it okay?
I think so, because I didn't hear otherwise. But we have computers being replaced now anyway, so it may have been end of life, so.
Yeah.
Maybe okay.
Just on the keyboard, possibly just on the keyboard.
Yes, I think so.
That's good. Anything else for discussion on the staff reports?
What do you want to share? Well, thank you for everyone who attended. I spoke to you and then I didn't see anybody else. I mean, I feel like I was always just a moving target, which is always a good thing because then you don't find out anything that's wrong. But I didn't see any of you and anyone who was there. Thank you for coming. It was a great party. I think the theme was really nice that the library chose because it was a little more casual, but people did, what they usually do. There were some hats, there was some, you could play with that. You could play with it, and I think everybody, I feel like everybody had a good time. The music was good, and although we didn't sell as many tickets as we have in the past, it was a good number in the building, we sold like maybe just under 250 or so. But with, sponsors and sponsors' guests and committee, it was over 300. And we kind of all said after the fact that it was a good number. You didn't feel crowded, but it didn't feel empty. So that's all the good things. And so we still haven't really figured out the money completely. So that'll be a little bit of a while. Definitely less profitable than last year. So we'll see what the final tally is. But it was a great event, and I don't pay close attention to anything that was in the item because most of that was off base and not correct. Am I correct in saying that?
I feel that
Chris?
would be accurate, it is a unique undertaking. Susan, as someone that's not our trustees of this building, but it's not a chamber event. It's in essence a Blossom's event. And we made some good sponsorship money, we made some good money, we did get hurt probably by about 100 tickets, my guess. With Celtics game, Bruins actually playoff games, Bruins Celtics. And then there was a
Contingent of
soccer.
us, sadly,
There
I'm
was,
sorry, Lionel Messi
Lionel
was,
Messi
the
was
whole
playing.
soccer group was down
Yeah,
there.
the soccer.
Right, down in
So,
Gillette, yeah.
that hurt ticket sales, but that said, no one leaves without having a good time. And we always have a wonderful time at the actual event, so that's always great. But I need to just compliment everyone that works in the building. I know it's an extraordinary undertaking, and I know what a burden it is on everybody that works in the building. It's much appreciated, and I think the community appreciates it. I'm not sure they understand how much work it actually is, but I make sure I chirp at everybody I can, how extraordinary the staff is, how extraordinary everybody is.
Yes, and to that end of what has been in the paper, when my head kind of clears a little bit from everything that's gone on, I do want to write maybe a letter to the editor type of thing, thanking and kind of, promoting the Blossoms theory, because it is a very unique event and that's the only reason personally that I've stayed involved, is that I started out doing a lot of volunteer work for community stuff, and that's kind of how I got involved in Blossom. But it's always been unique that it's library, it's business people, and it's also just your average person getting involved. The committee's always kind of been made up of that. So it would be nice to be able to go back to that. We didn't have as big a committee as we have in the past. So I think that new ideas and tweaking and pivoting is kind of going to be what's going to happen. I think it has to happen now because of after the pandemic, things are very expensive to run events. But hopefully we will be able to keep a Blossoms situation, into the future. So that's my hope. But I can take a lot of ideas.
I know we have Blossom scheduled for later in the agenda, but can I just ask if someone did read it? I didn't see the delegate article, so I guess you can find it.
Oh,
Was there a key takeaway that I missed?
I didn't actually read it. I only heard secondhand. I'm not sure I want to read it. Not I haven't. You can look it up in the archives. When does the archives come to?
Wait a few months of that,
But I haven't done that.
There were two Gale Law columns, and she just didn't have a handle on how this event actually comes off, and who, and where the primary responsibility for running it, coordinating it, making sure it all goes off. Susan.
Well, I don't believe she just spoke to Chris or I or anyone from the library.
She did speak with
She
me.
did.
But it was during the event, and it's hard to know what it is that you're trying to frame.
Right.
So,
It's also hard to quote the interview while you're trying to run an event.
Right.
That's not exactly how that
yeah.
plays
We're
across.
not getting a lot of focus on that.
And the follow-up spun into a column she wrote about what a wonderful place Wakefield is. And very interesting, she was talking about, you know, some friends' children looking at houses. And they were focused on Reading, and then she started chirping in about, you know, how wonderful Wakefield is and what a great community it is, all accurate stuff. Then she spun into some of the highlights of things in town. And one was Blossoms. And, you know, it was a wonderful chamber event, and the director does this, and that's not what it is.
Right.
It's not how, that's not the genesis, that's not, you know, that's not what it is. But, you know, so it's, you know,
It's a difficult thing to communicate, so, you know, it's always been, Blossoms has always been a difficult thing to communicate. What is that? Because it doesn't, it's not a natural thing that makes sense.
But
So
so that's
maybe-
why I
maybe
think
we
the integrity of the event from my point of view is to, you know, to keep it that it's a community event. And that's always what we kind of, that I've always kind of portrayed and would like to keep the integrity of. That it's all the pieces, it's all the feels, it's all the pieces. And I also like to keep the event that night as, it's a thank you to the sponsors and to the people who you run the library, you know, participate in the library, love the library, and not, it's not a promotional type of time. It should be a party, and I think it should be.
Yeah, there
kept
were,
that way. That-
there were a couple of things that went out that if you didn't know what the event was, it almost looked like the chamber rented library space.
Yeah.
And that's problematic.
That was very, very troublesome.
Yeah, you don't
'Cause
want it to look like that.
And if something happened without my knowledge, I don't know, do you know that was gonna happen? No, I was unaware of that piece of it, so, you know,
So we
there's
just have to
some
be
things
careful
need
about
to
message, yeah.
ironed out, but the party itself and the people that attended, are what matter.
it's always fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, having been there from, you know, the beginning of the concept, it's evolved, and it is, you know, a unique event in town, where you've got, you know, 3 different parties in essence. And, you know, it actually is how I became a trustee. You know, my involvement in the library started with Blossoms. And it led me to, you know, want to be involved in the building and be involved here.
The evolution is interesting, and it will probably just evolve again. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Dan, but Blossom started during an economic downturn when the library was really desperate. And whoever got together came up with this idea, and it helped everybody. But as time goes on and things change, you're looking to, you know, keep what works and jettison what doesn't, so.
I didn't realize it was during a hard time in the library.
Yeah,
Was.
yeah, we had,
Genesis was 2007, and the library needed money for books.
yeah, we did have, money, yeah,
On the
yeah,
verge
it
of
was
not
very, it
getting
was very
certified.
bad, yeah. Yeah, we used it for the book budget.
That suggested, it's almost like you might have to get out ahead of the, especially the item, with these things, maybe an interview with,
Right,
the organizers before the event, so that,
Right.
and pick the writer you want to talk to.
That's not allowed.
Utilize WCAT, if they, you know, when they
yeah, that
broad-
didn't work
broadcast
out, 'cause I-
pre-event
yeah,
to discuss it.
I had talked, and it didn't work out, there were so many things going on, because I did something else there, and we had talked about it, but then it didn't, the timing wasn't right.
Well, I'm very happy that you all had a good time and that you all supported and like it, because we're gonna be looking to trustees for input. I mean, anyone who's been involved in it in any way, we might be asking you to be involved more, you never know. You know, because you volunteer once, hello, you're committed, so thank you all.
Thanks. Anything else on the staff reports? Okay, we'll take a vote on the motion to accept. Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes,
Scott?
Yes.
I'm a yes, it passes unanimously. Now for one of my favorite parts of a trustees meeting throughout the year, summer at the library. We have participation on the Zoom. I will hand it over to our awesome library staff. What have you got for us this year?
All right. So hi everyone. All right, I froze there for a second on my end. Hi. Yeah, so for those of you who have heard us present before, not a lot has changed. Last year worked so well that we're at this point we're just really making tweaks to what we have been doing as far as most of it. Anyway, for anyone who doesn't know us, I am Casey Chuico. I am the head of youth services downstairs, and I have three out of our four other people in the department. Holly, who many of I think you know as well, is currently running the English language conversation course downstairs. So she is not here for this, but the rest of us are. So yeah, I've got Annie Hockheiser, who's one of our full-time people, Ariel Chu, who is our new full-time person, and we're very excited to have her, and Heidi Zeibig, who is our one of our part-time people and our Buzzy expert. So we're each gonna pick up a part of the summer program and give you guys the basics, and then if you have any questions for us, we're happy to answer them. So basically, my role is to talk about the reading lists and the school visits. So as always, the school does not at this point really have any sort of requirement for the kids in the summer. So we do suggested lists, reading lists for each grade. For the elementary grades, each grade gets their own list. So we have an incoming first, second, third, and fourth. And then for the upper grades, we have an incoming fifth, sixth combo list, a seventh, eighth combo list. And new last year, we now have a ninth, 10th combo list and an 11th, 12th combo list. And those lists they're still new. So there's still a lot of, I'm doing a lot of work on those every year, but those are all out. And we've got them all ready. Our first school visit is actually Friday already. We will be at Annie and I will be at the Galvin all day Friday. So for the first time since COVID, we actually got into all of the schools this year. So we're doing the Galvin on Friday, and the Galvin and the high school are doing kind of a fair open house thing where a bunch of the students are presenting books, and we're just a station that they visit as part of their visit around the like the little fair. And so at the Galvin, they gave us a list of the books that the kids are book talking. So we're going to be having a bunch of the books there to check out. So if they get book talk to book, if they have a library card, we can hand them the book right there and they can take it home. And then we'll also be talking about, they're doing a scavenger hunt. So they have to come talk to us about summer at the library. So we'll give them the basics on how it all works. And then we're doing the same format for the high school, going there in I think 2 weeks. And then all four elementary schools, the Doyle, and there are now 2 classes of Doyle pre-K at Woodville. So we're also going to the Woodville to talk to the pre-K. And we have Friday and then start in earnest, and the next 3 weeks are packed full of visits to all the schools. We generally send 2 of the librarians to each school to do a little presentation about what summer at the library is, do some quick book teaser talks, so like just really quick, basically like get just enough to get them interested in the books, and then also give them a question and answer period, because the kids seem to be more invested when they get to ask us questions about what we're doing, even though we've just explained everything to them, and they come up with some really good questions sometimes. So yeah, so that's the basic on our book lists and the school visits. And I'm gonna pass it off to Ariel, who's gonna talk about some of the program highlights that we have coming up this summer.
Hello, everyone. So as stated by Casey, we have a lot of things going on here today, going from ages newborn all the way up to grade 12. For the 1 to 2s, we've got Annie doing Wee Wigglers. It's a program she's already started and actually was quite a success today. It involves unstructured time for the little ones to get together and interact with some toys in a space where they don't have the older kids interfering or running around them in too much of a fast manner. And then she'll be following that up with a teddy bear picnic once the weather is more consistently warm in July, with some outdoor activities, music, and snacks. I myself will continue doing baby story time once a week, and I've been quite enjoying it. So we've got Heidi over here. She'll be doing pajama parties in July and August for the 3 to 5s, with some stories, songs, crafts, and stuffed animals, of course. And we've just got one thing happening here. One moment, please.
And in the meantime, I know there's a scavenger hunt going on there on desk right now. I think there's a couple flyers and you can get a little preview of things going on. We have the June, July, and August flyers as well, so you can see some of the items that Ariel's mentioning.
Thanks for taking over there, Annie. We're back now. So yes, we'll be doing the PJ Story Times, which is a later time slot than we usually do at 6:30 rather than our 3:30. So that'll get some after school kids, as well as parents who are also getting out of work that time. Holly, who's not here right now, but she is doing a storybook artists club, and that's going to be 6 different programs featuring picture book artists, and talking about how they made their artwork, and then the children will create their own art pieces based on that art style. Moving forward in ages through the K-5s, I'll be doing exploring plant parts. So we'll be actually kind of dissecting different plant bouquets, pulling apart the petals, the leaves, the roots to see what really makes a plant come together. Holly will be doing elementary unplugged. Was that Holly? Holly. And that is a really cool program where we go back to being disconnected from our electronics. So it's all games that have a physical, tangible connection for the children. Annie's program room creation will be the cardboard city that she's doing with the grades 2 to 6, where the program room is recreated into cardboard city, using boxes, scissors, tape markers, and anything the kids can dream up. And that'll be open for a few more days for people to explore afterwards. Casey's going to be starting off with some D&D for the incoming 4 to 6 graders. And that's been a program that's been going well for consistently. And so it's going to be great to see some younger faces joining the D&D community here. Holly will be back with some book clubs for 5th and 8th graders, discussing the themes of the books, not just the graphic novels themselves. She's going to be looking at the books called Hey Kiddo and Sunshine. I'll be doing a tech take apart with the help of our tech services, where we will deconstruct some of our older electronics that are no longer usable, and seeing how they work or how they don't work, depending on. Casey will be back with perler bead creations. Those are the ones that you iron on and create different images. And then Annie will be doing the hilarious teen version of Nailed It, where the baking show creations turn out to be disasters, but deliciously edible. Coming from outside groups, we've got Build Wave, where they have interactive games and building connected with usually Legos. Curious Creatures that will be actually visiting the library, so we could have some reptiles or such coming to see us. And then video gaming with One Up Games, that's for grades 4 to 12. And I believe we also might have some VR technology coming with them. For general family groups, we'll have family trivia, ages 6 and up, and the very best scavenger hunt in honor of Smokey the Bear, which we'll be hearing more about shortly. Any questions about upcoming programs?
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, that's just the highlights.
We like to leave you speechless.
I think that's maybe a fourth of what we're doing right now, or a third. So we will have lots of coffee down here.
Awesome. Good.
Say now we're gonna move to Heidi, and she's gonna talk about our perennial yearly favorite of Buzzy the Bee, and also explain a little bit of how we're working in Smokey's birthday into it as well.
And for Buzzy, you will find a little pamphlet you can flip through and learn about this year's game as well.
Well, hello everyone. Buzzy wanted to come. He wanted to show you his getup with snorkels and flippers. Welcome to season 7 of Where's Buzzy? This year, Buzzy's vacation turns into an underwater adventure when he finishes the book Treasure Island and decides he's going to search for sunken treasure. And along the way, he will meet some new friends too that will help him in his search. He's going to be traveling around the world in different oceans and meeting new friends along the way. He has a yellow submarine and he's taking his little obnoxious parrot named Petey with him. So there should be some fun jokes in there. How to play, the same as last year. You actually, we hide posters in downtown storefront windows. And then in order for them to find those, we put clues to those posters on our front door and now on our Buzzy website, which is easy. So you don't even have to leave home to come to the library. You can look at the website for the clue. These happen weekly and they go from Tuesday to Tuesday. When you find the clue to the store on the door or on the website, the scavenger hunt begins and you go around town trying to find a poster. The poster has hints of the different creatures that he's going to meet along the way. If they can figure it out from the poster, they can come back to the library sometime during that week period. Also attached to the poster is a QR reader with a special message from Buzzy in which he probably will tell them what the creature is. So that's weekly. When they find it, they come back to the library, collect buttons, which is great. This year we have a button for every week. The incentive is maybe if they come to all 6 weeks, they'll get the whole complete set of the Buzzy. So, but they don't have to do all of them. They can come one by one. So let's see, Annie and I met with the merchants yesterday, and it's always such a wonderful trip. It makes you feel great. They're so supportive of us and appreciative of us because they get a lot of business to their storefront windows. And so we're ready for that. Let's see. I guess that's it. You can join Buzzy beginning the 25th. It's always a week after the summer at the library starts. And you can dive into a townwide scavenger hunt this week. So what will it be, Buzzy? Buzzy says it will be unbelievable. So we had 400 people last year, I think, around. Wasn't that, Casey? 400? I think so. I'm not sure.
It was a lot.
I don't know. I don't know. So, and am I supposed to? The other thing we're doing is we have a little Smokey the Bear party that's going to take place. Smokey the Bear has been around for decades, and the state has decided that they had this free program to do. And so we're going to do that too in conjunction with the summer reading program. He'll be there. We have a couple programs about bears, and we'll have, it's very simple. You read 3 books on the environment or animals or something, and you'll get another button, but it'll be a special bear button this year. And that goes on for even a little while after our regular reading program ends. So we're going to have a busy summer.
All right, thanks, Heidi. And we're going to finish up with Annie, who's going to go over, exactly how all those collectibles for the different ages work and grades.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Annie Hawkeiser. So we heard about lots of great different components of the program this year, so I'm just going to cinch everything together. Our program is going to start this year. You can sign up. There's a little brochure if you want to send that around. You can learn all about what's going on. It's going to begin on Monday, June 17th, and this is going to run until August 17th, which is a Saturday. So as Casey mentioned, we're pretty similar to our program last year. If you're totally lost and confused, don't worry, I'm going to orient you with that. And we're just sort of fine tuning and making sure that everything works a little bit better and a little more smoothly this year. So as mentioned, the kids will be earning collectibles. So for each age bracket, they have a different collectible. If you are age 0 through 5, so a lot of the pre-Ks and the littles, there's a little sticker book. I believe there's one of those that can go around. Your collectible will be stickers. And I'll go into how to earn those shortly. There's also that yellow lanyard with some of the buttons on there. That is for the elementary schoolers, so kids who are entering grades kindergarten through 4. And then for our middle schoolers, so anyone entering grades 5 through 12, they are going to be earning scratch tickets. So I'll break down how those work. The stickers and the buttons, even though they look a little bit different in their formats, they operate very similarly. There are 3 different ways that the kids can earn these collectibles. One is by reading. I'm sure that's a huge shock to hear at a library reading program. This year, something that we changed is there's a lot more opportunities for the kids to earn these buttons. They didn't have quite as many opportunities to earn them this year. So there's a lot more buttons that you can collect. If you flip to the back page, it's called the collectible checklist. You can see all the different ones that will be available. Each one is a different unique design. You can see a couple of them on that lanyard that's being passed around too. On all of them, you can also find the number of books the reader read to earn that button. It's always hidden somewhere on the pin. So lots more opportunities for that. Those are in sticker form and in button form. Another way to earn collectibles, as mentioned, was the Where's Buzzy program. That's another one that we've expanded this year. You can earn a collectible for Buzzy every single week you find them. As Heidi mentioned, you can earn the entire collection. Spoiler alert, he's meeting different aquatic friends as he is in the ocean, so you'll be able to earn the buttons of the different creatures that he meets throughout the summer. And the last way to earn buttons is by attending library programs. As you can see, we have lots going on. Each program has its own unique button. Even if a program has multiple occurrences, it will still have its own special button so the kids can really feel like they're filling up those lanyards, filling up those sticker books with lots of great things. For the middle schoolers, the scratch tickets work a little bit differently. What happens with this is there's one way to get it. They have to come in and say, hi, I'm here for a scratch ticket. I'm not joking. It is literally that easy. This is a really great way to get this age bracket to come into the library and see lots of the great things that we have to offer here. As those of you may know with older children, they get really busy around this time in their lives. So this is a really great way to sort of keep them connected to the library. It's 1 ticket per person per day. Every time they get a scratch ticket, I think there's some of those in there. You can see them with the scratcher on it. It's a little silver sticker, and you can also see what they look like empty. It will direct them to a different prize bin, and these prizes consist of things like candy, stickers, both super popular. We've got some magnets, we've got some great gift cards, to places like Cravings downtown. So plenty of cool things for them to earn. On top of that, each week, all the raffle tickets, all the scratch tickets we get will be entered into a weekly raffle. So one of the middle schoolers or high schoolers will have the opportunity to win a gift certificate to White Lamb Books in Reading. So we're still sort of keeping that reading connection in there. And at the very end of the summer, after the program has ended, this will be on Tuesday, August 20th, we are bringing back our BB block party. We did this a couple years ago. And this is just a great opportunity for the community to come together and celebrate the wonderful summer accomplishments of all of the kids, including reading and all of the other exciting things that they've done. And I think that just about closes us out. So I'm gonna toss it over and see if anybody has any questions on this year's program.
So we've thrown a lot of information at you, but if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you tend to see the same faces all the time for these, the week after week sessions, or is there some rotation to it?
There's definitely some rotation to it, especially in the summer, because so many families, take vacations during different weeks. There are families that we see during the school year. We don't see it all during the summer because maybe they go to a cabin in New Hampshire or Canada, or we sometimes have families that go to like New Zealand for the summer. So we do definitely see a lot more faces during the summer than we do during the school year, and we definitely find that we get new faces that very often will stick around and be regular faces throughout the school year as well.
And are you as individuals able to form some familiarity relationship with the kids? Do they see the same faces each time and that sort of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for the most, yeah, I was like,
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Much like a teacher.
for the most
Go
part,
ahead.
it's the five of us, and then occasionally, Jackie might cover the desk to cover something, or we might get a sub if one of us is on vacation. But for the most part, it is the same five people that they see every time they come down to the desk.
Good. Yeah.
And they see you all at schools too. At the schools, that's a real connection there.
That's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Catherine. A lot of the kids, those school visits are so helpful because it can be kind of intimidating for a lot of young children to come in and speak to an adult who might be a stranger to them. So by going to the schools, in addition to spreading the word about the program and the different things that the library can offer, it's also helping to make us a familiar face to them. So a lot of the kids will come in and, hey, you visited my school, and there's this comfort and familiarity right away. So I think it really helps to make the library a very welcoming place.
And as someone who doesn't, don't really do the elementary school visits myself because I'm doing the older kids and some of the littles, I also find that they're very comfortable coming up to me after they've seen other librarians at the school and be like, well, we didn't see you at our school. Where were you? So it kind of works both ways too, even for the people they don't see at the schools.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah, our pleasure.
Obviously, a lot of hard work went into all of this. I mean, just writing down everything that you guys are doing would be a lot of work, never mind actually organizing it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you do want to take a look at any of the other programs, everything is now up on the library calendar on Assabet. So you can get the full view of everything if you want to look, if looking at it in a calendar view is the kind of way that works best for you.
Awesome. Any other questions?
Are you guys getting a lot of work out with the button maker machine?
Not yet. So starting last year, when after the first year that we did the buttons and realized just how many buttons we were talking, for a lot of the buttons, like most of the numbers of books read and things like Buzzy, that's like we give out like 100+ buttons for each thing. We now outsource a lot of the buttons. So the like individual one-shot programs, we do all the buttons. Stephanie, our amazing administrative assistant, prints all of our stickers for us. But a lot of the buttons we now outsource because we were all getting horrible pains in our elbows, including poor Cirque, who does a lot of the button making for us as well. So.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you again. As I said up front, this is one of my favorite segments of the year. So I appreciate all the hard work and looking forward to another great summer.
Yeah, our pleasure. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay.
Nice to do that by Zoom.
I know.
Yeah.
Because the two of them are downstairs on the desk,
Right.
so they wouldn't be able to, remember they used to come back
Yeah.
and juggle it.
Yes, and I encountered 3 very enthusiastic scavenger hunters downstairs wanting to know if I had seen any pictures of bees. So I can only imagine an actual librarian, what they're up against. So, okay.
I think actually we should say thank you to the friends, right? The friends of the people, they pay for all this, right? So that's good. So just after the book sale, I know we're gonna talk about it later, just as like a connection to the program.
We're gonna be putting Friends logo and stuff that goes out, we're gonna say on it, it's yeah, courtesy of the Friends. We've had a lot of money come from different places the last several years, but this year, everything is being paid for by the Friends, so we're gonna try to promote that.
Awesome.
They're doing Plaza Jazz too, the Friends.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that will be big promotion.
Okay.
that they're doing.
I think it's just, you know, we're lucky, first of all, we're lucky to have such great youth services staff, but to have so many programs going on.
Right.
And I think to be able to tie that back to the book sale and the Friends and all the other things they do, it's great.
Okay, moving down the agenda, public participation, I see none, so we'll move ahead with correspondence. I didn't see any in the packet.
No, I think so.
All right, moving to committee reports, budget.
There's nothing on the budget other than that it was approved at town meeting.
Yeah. On to spending it now.
Right.
Fairly painlessly.
Fairly
Yeah.
painlessly, yes, it was very nice.
It's always nice to go after the school budget.
Sure, everyone, that's fine.
Building and grounds.
Not a lot going on there. Well, there is a lot going on, but nothing that has to be discussed necessarily.
Showing you website.
Yes, and I've had an email from that gentleman who said he's having trouble getting information back from his vendors, but they definitely can do it, so this is the marquee.
Yeah,
For the marquee, okay.
It's definite that they can do it, it's taking longer to get the quote. And it could be anything, I have no idea, it could be $6,000, it could be $60,000, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
DGI, digital something, something integrators. They also do this kind of equipment, like the meeting room equipment. And they're on the state contract. They do libraries.
Okay.
So he said it can be built into that cabinet with a covering over it, and it could be wireless. So it'll be electrical, but the cable part will be, the internet part will be wireless. And he understands about the quality of the screen, so he was describing that to us. So Jackie and I thought it sounded, I mean, if he can deliver, it sounded really good, so.
yeah, and just come down to the number.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for moving that forward.
Yeah, that's big progress. It's
Um,
only been 3 years.
Yeah, that's big progress.
Everybody's like that.
Okay, Friends, I suspect it's a bit early to hear how the book sale went.
Yeah, I haven't heard a single thing. Jackie, did you hear anything from Friends about the book sale?
I heard it went well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
I don't know if that means financially or it was just a good crowd.
Yeah.
I think they posted on Facebook that they exceeded last year's sales. I think today they put up a post. And I did volunteer like an hour, great stint. It's probably the second day. It was another day that the weather had worked out. It was supposed to be rainy and it turned out to be sunny and nice. And I was working with Moose, I'm sure most of you know. And he said that the day prior had been crazy, busy the entire time. And same thing was happening while I was there. And that was like the 4 to 5 shift, and they anticipated by 5 it would get crazier. And that was again either Thursday or Friday, right? So it was Wednesday to Saturday, I think, this year was the book sale. So obviously they figured Saturday would be very busy too. So I think that coupled with what I saw on Facebook today, it seems like they're pretty happy with the results. So
Yeah, it's good.
I didn't get it until Saturday morning, and I talked to Cindy, and they were happy with the first few days of it, so.
Very good.
it was good.
Has there been a Friends meeting since we last met? No.
Was there a Friends meeting in?
Yes, and because Amy was the trustee.
She reported on that last time.
Was that before the sale?
They would have met.
The-
Yeah, they would have met
Yeah.
the 9th, May 9th, I think. the second Thursday.
Oh, right, it's the second one. Yeah, so it won't be that much longer till the next meeting.
Reference meeting. Previous month.
Okay,
Okay.
so we'll move on to, thank you, then we'll move on to gift funds.
Nothing special on gift funds. No, nothing there.
Okay. Legislative advocacy.
Everything looks good from what I've seen. It's,
Yeah, so the state senate put out their version, now that reconciled, that's where we're at.
yeah,
We will see. Personnel.
nothing there, I think we're good there.
Right. All right, on to new business. Annual board reorg with committees and chairs. So in the packet, there was a list of committees, the chairs in bold. All had been sitting on budget and legislative advocacy. His name is crossed out there. So I guess we'll start at the top with the executive. We usually handle that as a separate motion, and the rest of the committee assignments as its own motion. All right, is there any nominees for any of the executive committee positions?
I would probably make a motion to nominate the slate to stay where they are, but.
I would second that. Should such a motion be made?
I want everyone to have a say, but it just feels like it's a pretty solid group. Laura, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Happy to continue it. I hope Jeff is happy.
I am, but I'm also open to if someone else is.
No, you're great, please stay where you are.
And Amy's elsewhere, so.
Well, so it's too late for
her.
So
She doesn't have.
She emailed and said she would serve if drafted, basically.
Great.
Well, that's chilly, but you shouldn't show the draft.
Okay, so there was a motion to nominate the slate as it stands, and I believe there was a second.
There was.
Yep. Okay, any other discussion on that? Okay, we'll vote, roll call, Susan?
Yes, with pleasure for those three people.
Chris?
Jason, thank you.
Laura?
Yes.
Adam? Yes. Dan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, that passes unanimously. Okay, let's take a look at the rest of the committee assignments. We'll have to get Dan on to one or more of these committees.
What's the etiquette here? Do I just
Shout out,
Yeah, tell us what
we'll
you
see, yeah.
want to do.
I can volunteer myself for the two spots that Mr. Gordon vacated. Great, my son is gonna
That's easy.
love that idea.
I mean,
So
yeah, budget will throw you in the deep end in terms of, what's going on with that, so that's great. That works for me. Does anyone else want to move around their committee assignments?
I just, so Paul was the chair of the budget committee. Would you like to be the new chair of the budget committee?
let's see what it involves, but I'll tentatively say yes.
Or would you like to be the chair, Adam?
I'm already the chair of legislative action.
Oh, I see.
I would be it.
Am I on that committee? My name is there, but I don't recall ever doing anything. On the budget committee.
I don't know if there's been a sub.
There hasn't. been
Personnel actually has
anything
been the
for-
one that
There
has
hasn't
had
been anything.
like
for
a lot of
long
action.
time. So
That's why I
budget,
again.
the budget committee would be vital in the event we had a problem and we needed you know, to go to town meeting or to answer questions, or we came before the school committee. But there hasn't been anything, you know, we've been in good shape. So there hasn't been anything, but there can be.
We also managed to resolve some issues prior to town meeting.
What are the
Right.
general responsibilities, you know, obviously?
So for the budget committee, it's just keeping track of the budget and making, you know, just if any decisions had to be made. So, for instance, the budget committee would have been vital in 2008 when there was no money for, you know, there's a 10% cut, what are we gonna do? So sometimes you work with the advocacy committee to lobby the state to help out, or, you know, to meet with whoever is in town to help, you know, see what we might need.
In practical terms, Catherine goes in front of the different finance committees in town, and sometimes she needs backup, and those are the people who like to go and advocate. Hasn't been a contentious thing in a long time.
No, yeah.
But you know, when we're in front of the finance committee, sometimes it's helpful to have people, right, with you.
Or for instance, if you know where it would come in handy is if we went for the capital planning committee,
Right.
you would be recusing yourself.
Yeah.
Right,
But the idea is that that's where we very often, there are so many needs in town that
Right,
I
yeah.
will always say, you
Yeah,
know,
we're fine.
we're fine, let's take care of the kids at Doyle. There was one year I wanted carpet and I came in after the Doyle school needed a sprinkler system for toddlers. Like, there's no way I'm gonna get carpet over a sprinkler system.
We were impressed with your presentation.
So that's the kind of thing that if I felt strongly that something maybe would be damaged by not being, you know, this really needs to be cared for right away. I would want that committee to, you know, maybe sometimes you have to do research to back it up or whatever. But the last few years, there hasn't been too much heavy lifting here.
Anyone else looking to move around?
I'm happy where I am.
Yeah, I'm content as well.
How many can you be? I'm kind of interested in facilities, but I don't necessarily want to lead gift funds or personnel. I really like personnel. Gift funds there hasn't really been much to do, but I have to share, so I'll stay where I am. But
She just got you onto the sign-up from it.
I know, that's why I won't lead gift funds. I won't. No, I won't lead that one. I won't. But if I could do 3, I would sit on facilities too. I guess I would.
I don't think there's
Reason not
a
to.
reason not to.
It's not heavy lift across the board.
I'm gonna be poking at the, rather than stand up a whole separate committee for technology, I'm gonna be poking at some tech questions as part of building and ground, so.
Sure.
That might be coming up, but other than that, yeah. Works for me, so, come on there.
Yeah, that would be
I can do more.
good.
I'll do more.
You wanna do facilities too?
I'll add that, sure.
Yeah, there'll probably be more happening with that because we're looking to get rid of some of the carols and adjust the space.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
If Mr. Quinn and Bear will have me, then I won't.
Somebody got reelected, now he's adding more layers.
Don't forget me for Blossom next year. I'll volunteer for that too.
Well, look what happened this year.
I will this year.
When you update
Next
this
year.
document, when you update this document, can we add a little line that indicates that the bolded names are chairs? Because I did make that connection.
oh, and I can put them first.
Yeah, or just or chair next time, because
Oh, yeah.
I just how I'm thinking about the notes, but until you said that you were the chair.
Well, they're in
that's why they're
alphabetical
bold.
order because we work with librarians, so.
Okay, I appreciate them being in alphabetical order, but I didn't know what the bolded ones meant until you said that you were the chair of that.
Yeah, I'll put them first and put a star that says it. that's the chair.
Okay, so there's no other discussion. The motion would be to assign trustees to the committees as we had last year, replacing Paul's name with Dan and adding Scott to the facilities subcommittee. Would anyone like to make that motion?
Seconded.
Great. Let's vote. Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And a yes, that passes unanimously. Terrific. Okay, so.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, please.
With the board of trustees, those phone numbers, are they published? I don't know why I ran my phone number there.
This,
It's just, but it's,
this is,
right?
no, this is published.
It's published.
What's here is published. What's just internal for the group, I don't have in this packet
Okay.
because we don't want it to be published.
Okay. And I'll keep it like that.
Okay.
Anybody else not want their phone number?
That's a good question.
You might want to,
Mine's not on
that, I thought that's what it was, because,
Mine's been published for 5, whatever, how many years now, and I've never been.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
well, you're not a troublemaker.
The cell bill has not increased having my cell number.
And the work, you never know, might be worth it.
I am in the witness protection program.
Yeah, no.
Only the
That's what happens
emails.
After 30 years.
What about
I just want to
email?
say, only the emails are on the website. The only way that the rest of it is published is if someone asks for it.
Okay.
So
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Very good. Okay, so accounts payable, there's no action there, but payroll, do we have to re-nominate Susan to that?
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay. Would anyone like to re-nominate Susan to as the backup for payroll?
Nominator.
Second. Any discussion?
No, she seems trustworthy.
My number's not in there. I'm just saying.
Okay, so we'll vote Susan?
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
I'm yes. Passes
I
unanimous.
had to do it.
Let's
There
see.
was one time I had to do something, I forget what it was, but I look forward to it next time.
Meeting schedules, looks fine to me, the usual, adjustments for holiday weeks. Any issue?
What's the stars?
It's not the fourth Wednesday, it's the third to avoid the
So it's
holiday.
on the vacation.
Yeah. So if anything happens in the moment too, we just, yeah, and we frequently don't meet, maybe December or November sometimes, if we can skip.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of those,
Yeah.
they do the budget earlier now, so.
I think I will have to switch off of my friends meeting, if anybody is interested in switching.
Which one, October?
October 10th, yeah. I can do either September or November, if Jeff or
I think-
Scott are.
I think I can
I'm
probably
just
switch.
saying,
I mean,
Saying with other alternate, I can potentially lose it.
we don't need to vote on schedule.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, we will need to vote on the holiday schedule.
So the blue things on the right are all from precedent that goes back to 1980. And this is the kind of year where I don't think there's anything. There's nothing really different. So we typically close the day before Thanksgiving at 5 o'clock, but the day before Christmas at 1. And the day before New Year's at 1. And those are Thursdays, so it's in the middle of the week, so there's nothing really special. July 4th is the only one that's kind of unique, it's on a Friday this year. We typically will just be closed on the 4th and we're open everything else, but because it's Friday and Saturday, there's not gonna be anyone here in town. And if they are here, they're not coming to the library. And it makes it really easy for us because the staff works Friday or Saturday. So it means everybody just gets a day off without having to take another day from someplace else.
All that works, my Grinch hat as always, the Patriots Day. Why closed on Sunday? I understand we've done that in the past, but what's the logic there? Like I also get 2 days for July 4th.
Right, the Sunday is that because of the month, is that because of the, oh, it's Easter. Oh, right, thank you.
Peace.
Oh, okay.
Which is not a holiday for us,
Okay.
but we have always closed on Easter because it gives us an extra day till, that's a Sunday, so it gives us an extra day when people are more likely to be in.
Is that factored in? I mean, I know it's not just talking about budget back yet, but when we talk about the cost of Sundays, is there like only 50 Sundays?
There's 38 Sundays.
38, is that factored into that?
Yeah, I always count the 38. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on the holiday slate? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the holiday schedule.
Second? Second, great. There's no further discussion, we'll take a vote. Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And yes, that passes unanimously. On to strategic plan.
So the strategic plan is due to the state by October 1st. And that means you would have to vote on it in September. And if there was something wrong with it, we wouldn't have enough time to fix it beforehand. So we moved it up as early as we could. So this is the draft of the plan that we would like to present. And if you have comments about it and things you want to change, we can do that before the June meeting. And then if there are still things to change, we could just schedule a meeting in the summer if we had to. Because we don't want to go to the end of September only because it would be cutting it too close. For those of you who have done the strategic plan with us before, it used to be much longer and it would be the history of the library and now there's just a lot more data and the process. We will submit, we'll add as an appendices the surveys and the results that come from SurveyMonkey and all of that. The woman we worked with has all that data for us in summary form. She's also given us the raw data. But we would just put it on the website maybe or whatever. Give it to the MBLC. But this is pretty much the entire document. The only thing we don't have is the action items, which are technically not due until December 1st. But we're gonna meet with the department heads and see if we can come up with a plan sooner. Because a lot of things have changed. This plan we found more changes than I have in prior plans. And part of that is probably because I'm a person who, this might be my 5th 5-year plan. You know, I've been doing plans for a long time. And just so many things have changed, expectations have changed, people's lives have changed, the workforce has changed. So all of that we've put in here. Jackie did some of these infographics, and we need to play with the colors and see if we can get it all to look nice. But the content, the data that's here, this is what we want to present to the NBLC. The focus groups, it's interesting, there weren't, I get frustrated because there's not lots of people, fewer than 1,000 people fill out the survey, and not a lot of people do the focus group. But the consultant said it's still representative. Maybe it's a small group, but it's still representative. And you don't get as much, you might want to do it again and get more information, but it's not totally useless. So in one instance, we had a non-user focus group, and 10 people signed up to do it, and it was a Zoom, and only 2 people showed up. And I realized that in and of itself tells us something. Like, why are you a non-user? Well, part of it is because it's not at the top of your list. You are interested though. You were interested enough to sign up, but then when that event happened, something else was more important. But the 2 people who I did meet with were really interesting and had really interesting answers, and both of them ended up coming in to take a tour and to find out about it. So it definitely wasn't a waste of time. I felt like we got a lot of good information. So
is it too late to do some of these again?
To do the surveys again?
Yeah.
Well, you can always do them. We can always do them anytime. And everything evolves, so whatever information we got, whenever we did it, would still be useful to what we were doing in that moment.
Yeah.
The way that we wrote the objectives, the goals and objectives, and this is how I try to do everything, you want to make it as broad as possible. At least I always want to make it broad. And I feel like we were really successful in the last plan, because while none of us predicted that a pandemic would happen, we were still following the plan. We were still on the plan because it just applied because it was so broad. The mission is broad, all of it is. What we got from the staff that I thought was fairly interesting were what a lot of people will call values, and I'm calling them principles, because when I looked up the words, values are sort of internal and a little bit more subjective, and they might change, but principles don't change. And that's sort of, if you think about what the library was when Carnegie was building them, or when Ben Franklin decided he wanted to have a library, it was pretty much the same thing. They were thinking about access. It's always been about access. So those things, the staff came up with those. And so I put them in as principles because I think they're always going to apply, and everything is gonna build off of that. The fact that we're welcoming and so many people see us as welcoming, that's really important, and it's that's that kind of narrative that I never want anyone else to create on their own, that public libraries are welcoming, they work for everyone. And that's the whole idea, so that's important to us, and that was there. So it's 3 basic goals. One is to sustain our commitment to excellence. One of the things we discovered that I was both humbled and really delighted to discover, that people just have really good things. They have really good experiences here. They really like what they find. The staff is competent. And so I think, given how many new people there are and the fact that, we're losing some institutional knowledge, it feels like, I really want to sustain that commitment to excellence. And I really want to raise the bar. And I'll tell you, there's an older woman spoke to me recently at a Noble event, and she had worked here years ago as a reference librarian, and she was working for several libraries. And she said BB Library was always different. And she said, she said the reference desk was different. And I came and it was the last director and she was walking by. And she said, I had a conversation with the patron and I said to the patron, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that. Whatever the patron wanted, we didn't have. I looked for that, I'm sorry, we don't have that. Have a nice day. And so the director came by and she said, that was very well done, nice interaction, but she didn't leave with anything. You had to go one more step to find out where she could get it. That's not enough that we don't have it. Where is she gonna get it? She wasn't asking you, do you have this? She was telling you she wanted it. So you didn't get her what she wanted. Now, in the course of conversation, I realized what we're talking about is something that happened before computers. So that director was thinking about that at a time when it was really difficult to get that answer. It wasn't enough to just, I don't want to lose that. That's just phenomenal. And when I go to conferences and when I meet with other people, we're always, our policies are always really good. The fact that we don't have fines, we haven't had fines since before 1980, and now the whole country's getting on that because fines don't allow access. Fines hurt the very people that you're trying to serve. The fact that we knew that, 30 years ago is, I want to keep that. So that's what that first goal is, to sustain that. And the second goal is to cultivate connection, and that came from hearing about how many people feel disconnected, don't know a lot about the community but love it, have neighbors that they like. There were parents who said they didn't know what to do on Halloween. Who would think of that? And it was a big thing, multiple parents said, oh yeah, I didn't know either. And if you don't know from your neighbors, if you're not in that kind of a neighborhood where the people are talking about that, there's no resource for that. So the idea that people feel like this is a place where they can connect. And when Jackie and I talked about it, that would be as simple as restructuring some of the programming we do to include a period of time where people kind of comfortably can have conversations. Maybe it's just refreshments afterwards. The first time we did Wakefield 101, part of it was for people to get to know one another. Oh, you're new to town, I'm new to town. And the first time we did it, it was in the lecture hall, and we had refreshments, and people with small children had their drink and were talking to other people. And in subsequent ones, that didn't happen quite as much, but you would have to work on how you structure it to make that happen. So I think that's something that we should be working on. And the third goal is to develop a strategy to respond to current communication challenges. And Jackie today said something about communication, and now I'm not going to remember what it is, Jackie, but we were talking about how it's not really we keep saying we can do it better, we can do it better, we can do it better. It isn't us. It's the way the community is, the way people communicate now or don't has really changed. And so maybe we just have to figure out how people will find information and how do we help them get there. And part of that, I think, is we can work with Jim McDonald with the town. I'm not sure that the library has to be the place where people get the information. Maybe it's the town maybe, that central location is town oriented and we work off of that. I don't know, but everybody complains that they don't know what's going on. And in some cases, it's like you haven't looked for it, maybe.
Yeah, I harped on that the most in the findings, where I think the statement is Wakefield excels at communicating, and to a degree it does. We have a lot of channels in place to put the information out there. How many people actually subscribe to the town newsletter? I don't know. You have to be interested to begin with, I think, is part of it. But I do think a lot of people will say, oh, I didn't know. Well, at some point, the impetus is on you to seek it out. Part of it could also be reframing, I think. A lot of people assume the library does one or two things, and it's re-educating people on all the things that they do, and then they might seek it out differently on their own. But I do personally believe, as someone who works in communications, a lot of it's on the user. There's not a lot more that you can do to communicate everything that you do, because it's sort of out there.
Have you heard people say, I didn't know that, no one told me?
Sure.
No one told me. When I was growing up, I didn't have an expectation that anyone was gonna tell me. Everybody lived in their own little house, and you either went to the fence and heard from your neighbor, or you got the local paper, or it would be on television, or like you had sources that you went to, but it was never assumed that you would know automatically. But everything comes to us now, digitally, so you kind of have that sense that it should be coming to me. I mean, when people say, I didn't know, and then we say, well, we mailed a postcard to every house in town.
Right.
And you probably threw it out. It looked, it came with the market basket thing, and
Right. Exactly.
I think the library, it's not that the library needs to communicate the answers, it just needs to communicate that it is a place to find answers, right? Because it's not the idea that you're putting out, town elections on Thursday. That's not like the library's job to like be the person who pushes that out.
Right.
But if the library is positioned as a place where you could find answers like when is the town election, then I think that's that, you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about the stories with the reference desk, and I love when we get those little like blurbs every month. And I mean the social media campaign of like that, right?
Yeah.
Just like notes from the live reference desk, and just training people to go like, I certainly haven't, I don't think I've ever gone to ask a random question to a reference librarian, right? I think this is probably a generational I go to my Google as my reference librarian, right? So that's just interesting. When the person said, hey, I'm coming from France, I want to find where my ancestors are buried within, like, that just, it was like, that wouldn't even occur to me to go to the library and do that and think about that, but they found the answers for them because that's what they do. So I think that's like, to me, it's not, the library's not gonna solve all the woes of the town, right? But I think just focusing on it as being like a place to find answers, not necessarily as, what is this? Like, it's not our job to communicate all those little things, just to communicate that we are a place that you could find out those things if you have a specific question. But the people who just go like, nobody told me, it's,
Right. Yeah.
nobody told you, so come to the end and ask. Come to the library and ask. Somebody will tell you. But every department probably has that same thing on their list.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think communications to me, like, it's kind of like a universal, I speak better this, but it's like with everything that you're trying to communicate, because we all have our preferred, we're not all watching the same 3 news channels, we're not all reading the same newspaper, so like, you may be doing excellent communications on all social media platforms, but if there's only one social media platform that I use, and I'm not following you on there, well then, you can do all the communicating you want, like, so it's tricky, it's if you wanna
Yeah, there's a lot of channels and
Yeah.
Geez, maybe if we had a marquee out front.
That would solve some problems, wouldn't it?
Put that on the list.
Yeah.
Sounds like we need a facility.
But, I mean, I look at the stats, there's more programs and more people in every program, and more
Yeah,
circulation.
that was awesome.
Than ever before, so People are figuring it out.
Right.
Nobody's telling them, but they'll figure it out,
Isn't
so,
that amazing?
yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprise. And a lot of that too is because virtual's an option.
Yes.
Yes.
It opens it up.
Virtual
Access
is an
card.
option. So I part of this too is one of these things we looked at objective 2 under goal 1 is to evaluate the library building and the website and execute appropriate changes most advantageous to patrons. And when we wrote that, we were thinking about space and that the building space needs to change for the way people, very few people, children are not in carols anymore. So these carols up here, you'll find adults studying.
Mm-hmm.
You'll maybe see 1 or 2 kids who will get into a carol every once in a while. But for the most part, the banks of carols are not really what the space is needed for anymore. So we sort of want to look at that. And the website is virtually another branch. So it might be a way, maybe we should look at the website as space. What are we doing with that space, and can people find what they need, and are they introduced to new things there? Part of the space in the building you consider discovery. It's not just what you come in for, but that's supposed to be the thing about Dewey, is that the stuff is next to one another. So when you're looking for something about Charles Darwin, all the Darwin books, and then similar, it's topical. So that's where the discovery is. So the website does that as well. The catalog does that. So there are other things that we should be looking at with the website as rooms, as space, for those people who don't come in at all.
Can I ask a question about goal 1 at the
Goal 1 what?
goal 1 objective 2, where it says provide quote high levels of training. Is that high levels of staff training and development? It's not very if it's training.
Yes.
I was wondering if we could insert that there, because I read it as
The
training and
word
development.
staff.
Yeah. Just because otherwise it's like training and development for, when you read a resume,
Because all the
it's
things
implied.
afterwards are all things that apply to the staff.
Yeah, but as a first part, like, oh.
Yeah, that wouldn't be for patrons.
And I really love you talked about this, the objective about including the social opportunities. I think, like 15 minutes at the beginning or end of a program, sometimes it's hard to walk into an event you don't know anybody else.
And we see a lot of people do it. We see lots of people young people who move to town and are looking for, like you've graduated from college, you're in a new town, how do you meet people? That you can go to a restaurant, but, so we come upon people who are using the library for that. So if it wasn't just a lecture and you left, if there's some way that you often it's book discussion groups, so people are talking to one another. But it's almost always like if you have a drink in your hand, it changes it.
And have maybe somebody who's not registered for the event walking by the room and seeing people with a little bit of cookies.
They drop in. Yeah. And it doesn't have to necessarily interfere with how you tack it on to the beginning or the end or something. So that people who just want the information and are just coming for that can still do that. But I do think we have to think of it as its own topic, that's something we should be trying to do. Not just hoping that it happens. And then we were talking about engaging underserved populations, and that's so general because there's always an underserved population, and it's different all the time,
Bill on Daniel's point about like resetting the survey, I wonder if once the strategic plan is done and we have the goals and objectives, I'm sure that will be shared on the newsletter, like, but I wonder if it's also a way to kind of solicit some ideas and feedback from people, so like, here are our goals and objectives, if you know, like, maybe that survey, you have ideas for this or that, just, you know. So it might uncover something that we hadn't thought of, because we're too close to it. But also people then will feel a level of buy-in. Oh, you were asking my opinion, but what if I want for like the social,
Right. And contacting the people who contributed to from the beginning and saying this is here and you can see what we get, what the results were.
The graphics look great, Jackie.
They're not quite done.
Oh, they were helpful though.
Oh, they did.
I just have sort of unrelated question. On one of the graphs, one of the graphic pages, page 6, there's a statistic here that, it's at the top of page 6, it gives days open in 2017 and 2023. Right after that, total traffic. Is that a correct number? The drop of, looks like.
It's gone, yeah, that it went from, in 2017, there was 243,000 people that came through, and then in 2023, it was fewer. Yes, so there's two things that go into that number. Jackie, tell me if I'm wrong, but one is that in 2017, between 2017 and 2023, we changed the software that triggered those walk-ins.
Oh.
So part of it is that the number could have been high. The number in 2017 could have been higher because it was misreading. Is that right, Jackie?
Yes, it was off for quite a while, but we don't know in what way.
But we don't know when, but it was higher, we think it was higher. But even if it wasn't, even if those numbers were accurate, it could be possible because there are fewer people coming in to pick up books.
2017, you had 0 virtual events.
Yeah.
And last year you had 100, maybe more.
Yeah, the traffic a lot of times is will be sort of artificially inflated by the number of people who come in to pick up a hold. You know, they're not actually here to do anything other than pick up a hold. So that's somebody who comes in.
Yeah, now when I place a hold, I do it with my phone. Right. I used to have to come in, place the hold, leave, come back again.
Yeah.
To do.
So the stuff that happens
I mean, that's 2017 Minneapolis. Right.
I mean, our digital circulation has almost, I don't know, quadrupled in that time.
Yeah,
so.
triple, exactly. That's the other piece is that
But the physical circulation is down, but not down.
But it's still good. Yeah, people still want a hard copy. But I think more people tried digital during the pandemic and then found that they liked it. And you can get so many audio things. So maybe fewer people commute, but if you're commuting and you want an audio, you can get that without coming in.
Right.
Okay, so any other comments, questions, concerns about the report or the draft action plan? No. Okay, so you're still working on it?
No, this will be it.
Okay.
So if you vote to approve it, we'll And,
Okay, so it's just presentational day.
and then we'll bring it back in June.
So you need a motion to approve as amended.
The content, yeah.
So, okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? We'll vote on the motion to approve the draft of the 5-year plan. Susan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
And I am a yes, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome.
thank
Yeah.
you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good to get this, if we can get it out before the summer, that's a win.
And I sort of want the staff to start thinking about it now, because everybody really does need some training. I think some people, I keep coming back to this word untethered. Like there's not a really, you get a better sense of belonging when everybody's on the same page, and there are too many people who are just not on the same page. And they would feel more confident if we spent a little more time together and were focused on certain trainings.
Okay, it's probably too early, but I assume you're tracking how we did against the last 5-year plan, is that true?
Tracking how we're still in the last
Right.
5-year plan.
Right.
So in June, you'll get the results of this year's plan, which if you recall from last year, we made as simple as possible because we knew that we made it flexible and simple because we knew we would be working on the new plan and that things could possibly change. So, yeah, we'll have all the information on that at the next meeting.
Right.
Because hopefully that one will be done, and if it's not, we'd be carrying some things forward or letting them go, but we'll present all that next time.
Perfect, thank you. That's exactly where we're going with that. Okay, last item on the agenda is blossoms. We talked about this a little bit already. Is there anything else?
Do you have any other questions? I think we kind of slid in there at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
That's good. Felt much more relaxed for the entire meeting.
This was at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll probably have figures by the June meeting.
Excellent.
Have more specifics.
Very good.
Just a question, I know you said it was down, was it,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I know you said that the numbers were down, it was down because of the night of.
You know, it's hard to tell. And last year, it was the first year back after a 3-year hiatus.
Right, so you're gonna have.
Plus, it was the 100th anniversary. So, I mean, we had past capacity that anyone could imagine. We probably had 500 people last year. No, because nobody's ever there at the same time. I don't think it would look crowded last year, but definitely it was well attended. And I'll tell you, every year, I think it's different. That's what makes planning a little bit difficult. You don't know what the population's gonna be. I think at the beginning of the event, and correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of knew. There was like a standard group that came and you knew that they were always gonna be there. And but I think over time, we try to initiate new people coming on board, not only the committee, but to the actual event. And changing up, like what the theme is. Everybody saw at the beginning that it had to be fancy, and so I think that made a difference. So I don't know, but it was a little. There was only one other time that we were worried about having enough ticket sales, because I think 2 to 250 is the minimum really that you want to have the event.
But and there was all the sports stuff going on that night and everything for that. And that affects your auction because there's less, even though they can do it online, there's less people around to do all that, right? Yeah. I mean, I went.
No.
It was great, it was a great night.
Well, actually, the participants in the auction have never really been a lot. I think it's usually about a third of whatever the population is. I think the most we ever had that participated in an auction was 71 people, believe it or not. So it's interesting, people come for different reasons. People come for just the experience. I think because one cause was new last year, it'll take a few years to catch on, you know, how easy it is. So that needs work, if an auction piece is ever gonna continue in it. I don't know how your auctions have been, but it's difficult.
Well, I think it's different because here you have to go to that specific room, right? You have to go to that room, and when you're in the room, then you go like, okay, how do I do this and do that? I mean, I won my auction again, so
Yeah.
I'm having. I have my summer wine membership for the second year in a row. Thank you very
There you
much.
go, there you go. So, but the thing is that Megan does advertise that like once you get your ticket, you kind of have access to all that information that's gonna happen. Because last year, the very first year, there was somebody who bought the ticket and then couldn't go because of a babysitter. And she won like 5 items because that's what she was doing. She was home watching TV and she was able to opt, which is kind of awesome. I feel you have to have it connected to actually buying the ticket though, because that's in deference to the people that go. You want them to be able to have access to it. But if you notice, a lot of the things aren't visual anymore. They're more written up and, you know, so there's not as much visual as there used to be. So, you know, it's really hard to tell. This year was the only year, except the Kentucky Derby was the other one that we were sweating ticket sales. So and that was the only 2. So I'm not sure, but like the week before, it was like under 200, we were like, what's happening?
I mean, I know there were people who even had tickets who didn't go because they were at
Yeah.
soccer game where they were at.
Yeah, well, there were big things happening in, you know, Boston area sports, in all the sports, so, but that doesn't really account for the people who usually buy. I feel like the surge is usually more before April vacation, because it's always around the same time. Oh, like we're going on vacation, but we're gonna do this or whatever. But it was really just the week of, we eked out past the 200, so I don't know if anyone has any insight in that. We talk about surveys, we've done surveys before, you don't get a lot of information back about it.
See, if we have a big marquee out front.
It's gonna make a big difference.
I'll be back.
I think there'll always be a lot of people who just decide at the last minute.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's local, it's in town, I don't have to plan to go anywhere. If it's gonna happen, I can just get the ticket.
You have to sell out one year.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we hear different things, we hear like, oh, last year there wasn't a theme, but this year there was. You know, we hear that we used to be able to have something else going on, and that's always been a wish of mine that we keep doing that. Like one time we had a casino, we've had, I don't know, what else have we had? We had a horse race, you know what I mean, at the Kentucky Derby.
I'll go for the casino.
Yeah. It wasn't really profitable.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
That's why I keep it to myself.
But maybe
It's on the table.
maybe we eliminate something else and do that, but I heard that unless you, but then it became more of a dancing thing, but again, it's the crowd. So, I mean, I would love to do another option of something else going on but I think we do a pretty good job of trying to cover things, but we're always, I think we need to tweak some things. Or pivot, as you may say. I like the word pivot.
It's always interesting to have an activity.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of what people buy into, of course, of, you know, again, it's evolved a little bit from, you know, just getting wine in the building, and just having flowers in the building.
Sure.
So it's gonna continue to evolve as it, you know, approaches 20 years of doing that.
And we didn't have the fire pits this year. Last year we had the,
It was cool.
the gas ones. And, they weren't unavailable, so I think you need fire on the patio. That's something we negotiated with the town a long time ago to have it, so I think we need to have that.
But
Again.
This year the patio was underutilized because of the number of people in the building. When the building is more full, more people escape outside.
Yeah.
And you have more activity
Yeah.
outside.
So then we shouldn't have it during this week in May in the future, and we'll know that it's gonna be 95,000 degrees.
Yeah.
So, yes, so stay tuned.
Alright, sounds good. Okay, items not reasonably anticipated by the chair, anything we missed?
Yeah, well, we did, Catherine, just, even though we didn't have fire, we are paying a fire department. We did have a fire person here who was well utilized that night, because there was a person who fell ill, and she.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, and, well, the fire woman, like, had walked around with a backpack on. I thought it was a Ghostbuster, but it was not.
And there's your theme for next year.
Yes, yes. Oh, write that down. So we do have to hire a police and fire, but this year we just got fire, but it was a good thing.
And, you know, the reason for fire without having fire pit is capacity. That's their job, is to monitor capacity. That's the fire department's job.
Right. So we did our part.
Very good. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm your random viewer. I'm actually a master's student getting my master's in library science, and one of my assignments was to attend a board of trustees meeting. So I've been viewing you guys. And I was wondering if I could ask you one question that sort of contributes to my schoolwork.
Absolutely.
So we talk a lot about the competencies that a professional librarian or reference librarian has to have and are getting in grad school. And I know one of you mentioned staff training, and you've discussed the community survey for forming your priorities and your strategic plan. Have you found that people have been identifying competencies that the staff could use training in, or have any of you noticed competencies that have changed since you began as trustees that you find now you need to make sure staff are trained in social media policies or anything like that they didn't necessarily learn in school however many years ago that you find that's important to have the library provide?
All of that, I think that if you contact me tomorrow, can you do that?
Oh, sure.
I'm the library director, and much of what you just quoted were things that I had been talking about. So if you could contact me tomorrow or even tonight, I can answer those questions for you, because they're a little complicated.
Okay, so that sort of policies on staff training, staff competencies isn't something that falls under the jurisdiction of the trustees. It's more something that would be dictated by the director?
I would say yes.
Okay.
We're all involved in it, but the director is responsible for the organization. The organizational, what is the word?
The library will close in 15 minutes. If you have materials to check out or printing to complete, please do so now.
Okay. Are you still there?
I'm still here, yes.
Okay. Yeah, do you want to contact me and we can talk about this?
Sure, yes, I can.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation, but it's longer than what we can do here now.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do you want to call me tonight or email me tomorrow?
I will send you an email tomorrow.
Okay, do you know my email address? Can you find it?
Yes, I can see it on the website, yeah.
Okay, so it's Catherine McDonald. It's cmcdonald@noblenet.org.
Great.
Okay, yeah, give me that and we'll have a good conversation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks, and apologies, we do have a line item for public participation. I did not see you on the Zoom, so thank you for speaking up, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's not good if that doesn't show that people are there.
Well, there is, it does, but that's just the number.
Yeah, but we had our people on too, so that number doesn't help us.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask
You
this.
could have counted it out, but
Yeah, I guess.
It seems like it should be a separate thing.
Yeah, like it should have come up, it should have, okay, well,
Sorry.
anyway.
so tech support is probably something that teach you in your schooling.
Something shut off.
Good.
There's Jackie. You're the full screen, Jackie.
Life size. Okay, so that was good that we caught that. Anything else?
Did we vote?
We have a motion and then seconded, I think. So
We have not voted yet, so let's go ahead and close the book. Susan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
F,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
and I'm a yes, that is adjourned.
Are we allowed to take these?
8:47.
Yes.